Hello everybody, I am Fuzzy Face. Welcome back today to round 2 of this 2021 season of Formula 1 here on Motorsport Manager. Today we've got the Dubai Grand Prix coming up. Low fuel burn, very low tyre wear, 34 laps. It's going to be a one-stop race for pretty much every team on the grid. I don't think the mediums are going to play a part at any point during this race. Top speed is crucial, the engine, brakes, rear wing are all crucial. Areas of the car where we're middle of the road in. Well, what am I saying? We're middle of the road pretty much with every part as it is, other than the gearbox. The gearbox we're miles behind, which is what we're building at the moment. The gearbox is what we're concentrating on. 23 days it's going to take to build that gearbox. So it's not even going to be ready for China. So we're not going to have any more upgrades going into the car, even going into China. Between the last race and this race, we've got a new front wing in the car, which has moved us up quite considerably there. On upgrade front for the other teams, Mercedes have got a new front wing, Ferrari have also got a new front wing, Aston Martin, AlphaTauri, Renault, Prema, they've all got new suspensions going in their car, and as I said, we've got a new front wing as well. The other teams, Red Bull, Williams, McLaren, Haas, they've not made any major upgrades and not introduced any new parts. They've just been working on the parts that they've got, which leads me to think that they're building engines or a gearbox. So between Red Bull, Williams, Haas and McLaren, I think I said, they're possibly, a few of those might have new engines going into China, so they're going to see dramatic increases in the performance of their car going into that stage of the season when we get to China. Last time out, if we just look at the calendar, Sydney, Charles Leclerc won the Sydney Grand Prix. Max Verstappen and Lewis in the two Mercedes were second and third. The Silver Arrow is doing really well. The Red Bull Hondas of Albon and Alonso. Alonso, obviously, if you watch the last race, he qualified on pole. I think he ended up at 9th place after the start. Just a disastrous start for him, which put him way down the order. Did well to recover into 5th, and then Nico Hülkenberg rounded out the top 6. In that Ferrari, the Renaults slightly disappointing with Ricciardo and Ocon finishing 7th and 9th, and Carlos Sainz, really good race for the McLaren there, and Russell scoring points this season in the Aston Martin. So what else do we have to go? Oh, actually, the biggest news heading into the next race is here. Sebastian Vettel. I don't know whether this is a sign of things to come, but Vettel has a fever, -5 across the board for all stats. So unfortunately, that does last 4 weeks. He will be back for Russia, but he is going to have to sit out the Dubai Grand Prix and the Chinese Grand Prix. He's going to have to sit out Dubai and Beijing here, which means Stoffel Van Dorn is going to get the seat, which is something I was wanting, well, not wanting to do, but I was stuck between Verline and Van Dorn as who would be the second driver. They're going to have an opportunity to directly compete here, pretty much. Just compete against each other. So who gets that seat is going to come down to the results of these next 2 races. So that is where we're at the moment. Unfortunately, that also puts us at a risk of not scoring points over the next 2 races. Vettel, we are relying on him because, as we saw in that first race, it might be a little bit difficult for us to score points anytime soon. The AI, the other cars, quite a bit better than ours at the moment. Hopefully once we get that new gearbox going into the car for Russia, we're going to be a little bit better. But as it is, Verline, Van Dorn are going to be in the seats for this race. We're just going to select Audi. As usual, it's just 7-4-4 across the... Actually, let's take less mediums to this Grand Prix. We don't end up using the full complement of tyres as it is. I don't think the medium's going to factor in at all this weekend. Maybe we'll try 1. No. Yeah, because we're not going to do any sort of practice on the medium tyre at all. We'll just keep one extra for Van Dorn as well, just in case his smoothness rating's not quite as good. He does have, but maybe there is something affecting his smoothness. I don't think it would be, but anyway. Content with the car. Estimated race position for Verline is 13th. We're not going to get an estimated race position for Van Dorn because he's a reserve driver. It's not actually going to give us a projected morale change for him. But anyway, that is it. We're going to jump into the Dubai Grand Prix here, skip over practice as usual, and we'll be back in a second for qualifying. Right, so we're back just before qualifying here. We've got a little bit of knowledge. Not the best. Dubai is quite a long track, so there's not a lot of time to get the full 15% performance increases. Verline was a little bit, well, not even a little bit, half a second quicker than his teammate. Pretty much got there with the setups over the 2 runs that we do. Just to keep it fair, if I get close enough, if I'm miles away, we've got to keep it. Parc Fermé is in effect from here, so I can't change it during qualifying. The game does let you change it during qualifying, but we're following Parc Fermé rules. We can't change it, just to make sure that we're not using any sort of cheats above and beyond the AI. But quite decent setups we managed to get in the end. We did seem pretty handy during practice, so hopefully that is going to translate here into qualifying. Whether it does, I don't know. There's no rain in no rain forecast at all for this weekend. Obviously, being in Dubai, we shouldn't be expecting any rain. But are we going to get out? Who are we going to send out first? We'll send Verline out first for the first run, and then Van Dorn will go out first for the second run. Let's keep it equal. We managed to stay ahead of the Williams there, either Latifi or Magnussen there. We don't actually know which one it is who is currently behind us, and it is Kevin Magnussen right behind us. Van Dorn there, and as you can see, if you've just noticed, you might notice down here, we've got 2 new buttons. We've got auto pit and auto drive. I'm not going to use the auto pit at any point during this game, keep that all manual, but just if I'm concentrating on one driver, like one driver's just totally out of it, down 20 or something, I'm just going to turn on auto drive for them, just so we don't forget about them. And Van Dorn giving up track position here. That is an AlphaTauri getting in front of him. But anyway, during the race, if I feel like it, or when just want to concentrate on one, we do have this option to go for the auto drive. This is a mod. I'll put a link to that mod down below. It is on Race Department. It also does give you this quite nifty camera of a chase camera, which is going to be quite useful for the race. I think if we can try to use this and concentrate whilst using this during the race, we're going to use that camera during the race. But as it is, let's just speed up a little bit here. Let's try and get to the first lap here. But also just something I want to say as well. If you're watching this video and the resolution, the quality of it is a little bit subpar, it is because I haven't been on YouTube for quite a while. I am stuck at the moment with an older codec that when YouTube processes the videos, it gives me that codec for some reason at the moment. So if it is a little bit distorted, that is the reason. Everything's good on my end. Hopefully once I start posting regularly again, I will get the VP9 codec assigned to my videos and the quality will be back to normal by then, but as it is, I'm just stuck with this codec at the moment. But anyway, let's get back into qualifying here. Charles Leclerc going quickest in this Ferrari. Are we holding him up? Is Verline holding him up at the moment? Are we holding Leclerc up? It doesn't seem to be affecting him. He's currently 7/10 up on the quickest time so far across the second sector, and Leclerc's going to blast through here. Verline goes 5th overall, which is currently last overall. 1.6 seconds off the pace of that Ferrari. What can Van Dorn here? Van Dorn goes 6/10 quicker than his teammate. That is an absolutely outstanding lap. If maybe Verline was a little bit off there, trying to keep Leclerc in check, maybe that put him off a little bit. I'm not actually going to know what the effect of that was, but Verline is well down here. Only Gasly in the AlphaTauri slower at the moment. Is anyone else coming through quicker? It looks like Leclerc, after the first flying laps of this qualifying session, is going to hold on. We've got Hamilton in the Mercedes, Alonso the Red Bull, Verstappen, Magnussen up there in the Williams, but 10/10 off. Look at the pace that Leclerc's got out of that Ferrari. That it must. I was thinking we're way off here, but it's just that first Ferrari so far in front. It's not even rated the best car at the moment. I think the rating is the Red Bull. Red Bull Ferrari Renault at the moment. And Magnussen is straight back out on track, so we're just going to speed things up here as we await our second run. Obviously it's a 2-minute outlap, so we don't want to leave it too late. We said we'd send Van Dorn out first. This time a fresh pair of super softs onto Van Dorn, and we'll just give it a little bit of time here. Don't want to come out into traffic with Verline. We do need him to improve, so let's get him onto this super soft. Oh, and we said that, and that is a Prema. Possibly Schwartzman right behind him. Could be Schumacher. Yeah, it is Schwartzman right behind him. So Verline is just going out around that first nice loop-in corner. So should we stick with Van Dorn here for this lap, seeing as he is the main one at the moment that we're hoping can keep up around this position? Maybe we'll keep up with Van Dorn for this lap. Magnussen is out on track, or Magnussen's doing his flying lap at the moment. Is he improving? Are we going to see improvements? No, not much improvement from Magnussen. Obviously he put in an absolute blinder of a lap on that first qualifying run for himself. And let's just speed up here, right? Van Dorn is now on to his flying lap. Looks like Verline got a little bit better with his setup. I didn't quite pay attention to what he did, but we've got a lot of cars down here improving. Verline currently in 21st. We need a big improvement out of him. Van Dorn certainly staking his claim for that second seat behind Vettel once Vettel is fully recovered. And Van Dorn not going quicker this time. Verline has sped up 3/10 down on that first sector. Leclerc not doing better. Verstappen is the only one improving out of the top 4 cars. Obviously, he does have to pick up a second here. He's up. No, he's actually down, isn't he? He's 4/10 down on that first lap of Charles Leclerc. So it looks like, and Van Dorn is 11th. Verline, meanwhile, Verline should be coming across 13th. A big improvement there. Thankfully, we're not right down at the back here, but Verline improves to 13th. 1/10 pretty much off his teammate here, so Van Dorn. It's going to be interesting between the two. Norris is improving here. He's in the top 10 at the moment. Is he going to improve even further up? No, he stays 10th behind Alexander in the Red Bull. So that's a good performance for him there. The McLaren's doing quite well. Seems like we're pretty much even with the McLaren's at the moment. But this, an absolutely outstanding qualifying for Magnussen there in the Rocket Williams. Go straight into this race now. We're going to be on this soft tyre longer. So I am going to take that. As the main performance increase, it's going to be a one-stop strategy. It could possibly be done super soft to super soft, but if you've watched my series before, I always, even though this game doesn't force you to, do sort of run the rules for myself like in real life that I have to use 2 tyre compounds throughout the race. So we are going to go super soft. Should we switch it up a little bit here and have different alternating strategies for both cars? Obviously this medium tyre can do almost 30 laps if you hold on to it. I'm hoping that some of the AI cars, like further back, that they're not just going to go on a medium and run right till the end of the race, which can happen when the tyre life is set to be expanded. But yeah, I think we'll go soft with Verline. We're just going to keep things. Obviously, they're both going to run for roughly the same amount on each tyre, so it should be equal over the race. Although Pascal Verline, once the track has sort of got more grip on it, he's going to be on the quicker tyre at that point. But let's just go high on the fuel modes and we'll just run down the grid pretty quickly here. Although Hulkenberg improved to second place there, so we've got both Ferraris on the front row of the grid here. An outstanding qualifying for them. Leclerc absolutely outstanding, almost 5/10 ahead of his teammate. Esteban Ocon improves in that Renault. That is good for Renault. 3rd place there on the second row, followed by Lewis Hamilton in Mercedes. Max Verstappen is 5th. Daniel Ricciardo in the other Renault in 6th. We've got Fernando Alonso 7th in the Red Bull. Struggling here for the Red Bull, considering they have the best car, although it's possibly not the best suited for this circuit with the parts that are the best in their car. An absolutely outstanding session for Magnussen, 8th in the Williams, 9th for the Red Bull of Alexander Albon, and Norris rounds out the top 10 in the McLaren. Then we get our first car, Stoffel Van Dorn, followed by Carlos Sainz. Sergio Perez, 13th for first appearance for Haas on the grid, followed by Verline in our car, 15th for Newgarden in the Haas, and then the other Williams of Latifi in 16th. Then we get the Aston Martin of Russell, 17th, Vips in 18th, moving a little bit too quickly for me in the AlphaTauri, 19th for Valtteri Bottas. This Alpha not up to speed at the moment this season. Looks like a long hard slog for Alfa Romeo this season. We have Lance Stroll in the second, Aston Martin 20th, Gasly in the AlphaTauri 21st, the first Prema, Mick Schumacher 22nd, his teammates right behind him in 24th, Robert Schwartzman, and then Antonio Giovinazzi rounds out the back row of the grid in that Alfa Romeo, 23rd place for him. Should we actually just watch from this chase cam as we start here? Don't want to go too far. I just want to see what it looks like at the start here. It does look pretty cool. We sort of want to keep an eye on what's happening. The Ferraris just racing off into the distance there. The 2 Renaults at the moment. We're just going to bump up here. Since the tyre wear and fuel wear is low, we're going to bump up here since it's Dubai. See if we can make up some room. And why are we just stuck miles behind here? What is happening? Is that something to do with that modern Verline's dropped all the way down to 22nd here? Van Dorn losing place. He's got a Williams. Who's that? Is that Magnussen? Magnussen not made the best starts. Alonso, a little bit better start this race for him. Is up into 4th ahead of the Renault of Ocon, who's dropped 2 places. He was in 3rd, but it looks like the Ferraris are going to try to run away with this race at the moment, although Ricciardo's staying close together with them here. We don't actually want to let Leclerc's in backup mode already. Obviously having confidence that his car's going to run away to victory here. Ricciardo going quickest in that second sector, whereas the first sector quickest for Yuri Vips. Good on you, Vips. Good driver, good prospect. But Van Dorn here, right? Let's just see if we can switch back to this. I do like this camera. Obviously the livery's not showing up quite as well. We're missing part of a ring on the Audi, but we can't have everything, can we? Van Dorn, 10th place, holding on here. That's quite good for him. We're just going to have to make sure we don't run through these tyres. We will stay up in overtake mode for the time being. The field is quite congested, and that's me dropping something on my keyboard there. Let's just ignore that. The field at the moment is quite congested, and if we can keep it up, Verline though, obviously not giving the best representation of himself here. He's only got Alpha behind him. Did we see both Premas shoot up the order? 15th and 13th for the Premas. A really good start for them, as we see the Ferraris are now starting to get this distance over the Renault behind. We've got Ricciardo in a close battle with Alonso. His teammates behind Ocon, keeping Alonso just on the edge there, stopping him pushing too much to get past Ricciardo. And then we've got the two Mercedes, 6th and 7th. Not the best for them. They were... Oh, and that was Alonso locking up one of his front wheels there. I think it was his inside left. And everyone absolutely locking up on that front corner. Everyone totally locking up. We're just going to go back into high mode. I don't think there's... Actually, no, we're going to have to conserve these tyres. It should be quite hot here since this race is Dubai here, 27 degrees. We're just going to have to look after these tyres. Obviously, we're under a lot of pressure from Norris. We've got a Red Bull from Albon. Van Dorn has moved up. We actually missed his overtakes there as we were looking through the rest of the field. But we're under pressure from Norris now. Norris does get past that. McLaren is a lot quicker around the corners, quicker in a straight line than us. That is to be expected. We do have a Red Bull behind us now, and we're going to just have to... We don't really have to look after the tyres too much, but we do want them to stay quick. We can do another 34. Yeah, well, it is going to be quite close going on to that soft. Yeah, we do want to get onto that soft for the end of the race, so we might have to give up this position to Alexander Albon in the early going of this race, obviously. But Red Bull currently rated the best car overall. Possibly not the best on this circuit, but I don't feel that we can keep him behind us for much longer. Our main challenge at the moment is keeping Magnussen in that Williams and the two Haas's behind us. And obviously there's a McLaren of Carlos Sainz there as well, which might trouble us later on. We do want points. If Van Dorn can get points in this race, it would be absolutely amazing. We might just run in backup mode, because I think Albon is in backup mode as well. He is. We'll just switch into high mode as well. Try to use the shortcuts on the keyboard as much, but I do this just so you know what I'm changing on the cars, because if I do, like, if you look at Verline at the moment, if I just do that without actually explaining what I'm doing, I sort of want to keep you informed of what we're sort of going through here. So if you can actually see me click it on the screen, might be a little bit better. I don't know. Anyway, Norris is in front on a slower compound of tyres on this soft compound. He should be a little bit quicker than him, and then we say that, and Van Dorn is going past him now. We're in backup mode. We're in a lower driving style and a lower engine mode, and we still managed to get past Norris there, which bodes well as we go into this race, hopefully. Our pit crew is not the greatest at the moment. I think we're rated 11th overall. It takes 3.5 seconds to do a pit stop. So over McLaren, which will be higher rated, and the Williams team, which is higher rated, they can pick about a second up over us in the pits, which isn't good, as we see Verline is just dropping way off here. Verline behind the Alpha of Giovinazzi. It's not boding well here for Verline. His tyres still in the red zone, but I'm just going to stick Verline on auto drive for a little bit. We're going to concentrate on Van Dorn just to see what this auto drive actually does. As I said, I'll put the link to this in the description. I think it's going to push him. I don't know whether it's going to manage him too well, but we do want to make sure our main focus of this race is keeping Van Dorn here up in the points. He's got a McLaren of Lando Norris behind him, a Red Bull there stuck as well. Who is in front of us? It's Lewis Hamilton. I don't think we're going to get anywhere near the two Mercedes in front of us. So let's just speed up a little bit here. We're sort of in a little bit of clear air. There's more than a second back to Lando Norris at the moment. Almost 3 seconds in front. Verline still struggling here against this Alfa Romeo. Obviously we're not that quick, so overtaking is quite hard for us. It is going to be quite hard for us during the early part of this season until we can maybe get some upgrades going. But as I said, I'm sort of following what the computer does, but then managing what they do with their upgrades as well, so just to make sure they're not losing ground to us. So everything, it is going to be hard. And Verline is in that close battle with Giovinazzi. He's managed to get past him. He's got an Alfa Toro Gasly in front of him, but not a good race at all here for Pascal Verline. And he's locked up again on that soft tyre. Took 5% off the tyre. This soft tyre is running. I don't think he's going to have to go on hard just so we use 2 compounds, because if we go soft then super soft, he might not get to the end of the race. Verline locking up like crazy. Looks like Van Dorn is going to be in prime position for keeping this second seat. We're just in a lot of clear air here at the moment, so let's just have a quick rundown of the order as we are about to, well, just gone into lap 7 of the race. Leclerc way out in front, 4 seconds ahead of his teammate. We've got the Ferrari is of Nico Hulkenberg in second. Ricciardo holding on to that 3rd place, but can't keep up with the Ferraris. Alonso, Esteban Ocon all still in a line there, and the Mercedes have hung on to the back of them here, which is quite good to see. The Mercedes not as strong this season. Obviously the driver lineup of Verstappen and Hamilton really strong, but not able to keep up, and we've eked out a 3-second gap now over that McLaren, which is going to bode well when we have to come into the pit. So we're just going to back up here a little bit. We're going to start conserving some fuel. We've got some room to do that. And Verline, who is being auto-managed at the moment, 23rd. I think it's done for. Any sort of hopes of points. He's 16 seconds behind 10th place, which is Alexander Albon. No chance of catching up here. Just going to have to keep an eye on his tyres, 60%. Is he going to be able to go soft to super soft to get to the end of the race? I don't think that is going to be a possibility. I think he's going to have to go on to the hards. Luckily, we did choose the bonus for the softs and not the super softs. So he's currently doing 200, and what was the last lap between these two? A 205.8, whereas a 207.5. That soft tyre. Is it the soft tyre that's not working around this track? Obviously, we see Norris. We saw Norris way ahead of Norris on this super soft tyre. Yeah, that is what it is at the moment. We're 50% down. We've cooled this tyre down nice and rapidly there. We're about in the optimal zone for this tyre. 4 seconds ahead. Yeah, we're just coasting to a points finish here, hopefully. So we've got no chance of catching the 2 Mercedes in front of us. The 2 Haas's are doing well here in 11th and 12th. But I don't think they're going to be able to get close enough to the Red Bull. But Newgarden, on this medium tyre, is doing a real good job of hanging on to the Red Bull on a quicker tyre compound, than him. Quite good going for the Haas car there. So as it is, we're just quite comfortable here. So we're back on lap 14 here. Just skipped ahead a bit because there's not much going on in this race at the moment. We're all just waiting to get into the pits. 31% of this tyre left. It does drop off a cliff at 20%. The McLaren of Norris has closed up a little bit here. He's on a slower compound, so he's possibly going to come back at us at the end of the race. They're going to get onto the super soft. I think we're going to lose about 23 seconds for the pits. We should be coming out here. We're going to be coming back out into a lot of traffic whenever we pit. If we came into the pits now for this soft tyre, it says we would be coming out 17th estimated, which would put us just in front of Latifi. Maybe there is a 2-second gap there. Is there a 2-second gap between the cars? That would play into our hands a little bit. Obviously, if we get out on track, we're going to have to make the move on the Alphas and the Premas. Is that going to be something we can do on a quicker compound tyre over the mediums if we're on softs? It's a little bit risky. We can estimate it to do 23 laps on this tyre. We've done 15 so far. Possibly get another 3 out of it, it says. Don't think that's possible. Going to go one more lap and then we're going to dive into the pits. Is the current plan. But anyway, as it is, Leclerc still leading. He's just out by himself in front at the moment. Hulkenberg is still second in that Ferrari. Everyone's still the same up here on the top of the order. Norris still 9th and 11th. And Albon in 10th. So it's all just down to the pit stop here. Have we got it in us to do this one final lap? So we're just gonna push into the pits here, and hopefully we can get far enough ahead We can now move up into 16th place after the pit stop, which is in front of Bottas now. So there is a 2-second gap between Bottas and Schwartzman. If we can get out into that little bit of a gap and then hopefully get past Schwartzman or get out in front of Schwartzman, there is a bigger gap there. This is the gap we would primarily want to get out into, but I don't think that is going to be possible at all. We're pushing into the pits this time around. First sector we're equal with the last lap and picking up half a second here, so hopefully we're going to get back out of the pits in a decent position here to stay within the points and get points. We do have Ricciardo into the pits, so he's going to give us a good idea, and then we're the second car into the pits of this race. I don't think anyone else has pitted at all during this race. No, they haven't. We're one of the first cars in behind Ricciardo, and we get out in to 15th, so ahead of Bottas where we wanted, and a nice gap to Schwartzman here as well. So we're just going to keep it high for a little bit. That is absolutely worked out perfectly for us there. We're in that little bit of a gap. Ricciardo, though, meanwhile, has come out of the pits. He does have a gap if he can manage to get past Newgarden, but he's come out between the two Haas cars. He's under a lot of pressure here. It's going to be quite hard for him because he was running in 3rd place. So it's going to be quite interesting to see if Alonso, with Ricciardo in that traffic, whether Alonso can get out ahead for that podium position of 3rd place. Van Dorn currently now 15th place. We don't want to push these tyres too much because it's going to be a little bit of a risk. Verline running last place again here. He's just totally out of it altogether. Currently an Aston Martin's in front of him. Giovinazzi's managed to get away from him, but a second in front, moved up 2 places. Magnussen has made this pit stop come out in a terrible position as Kevin Magnussen. He did qualify quite well. He's lost places as in the early parts of the race. We've got Verstappen in the pits now. He comes out into 12th into clear air, which is good for him to stay ahead of his teammate Hamilton. Oh, and that was nearly... who was that? That was Mick Schumacher. No, it wasn't. That looks like a... yeah, it is a Prema behind him. That's Schwartzman behind him. Almost got past him there, but Verstappen's got some nice clear air to run in here at the moment. We've closed that gap up nicely to the Mercedes. Obviously, he's on a softer compound tyre now. He's going to be able to run off into the distance away from us, but we did have a nice undercut there, which bodes well for when Norris does decide to come into the pits. We're currently not going to get a good idea on what sort of lap times we're running at the moment. But if we can just keep this going for a little bit, obviously we've caught up to Robert Schwartzman pretty quickly here. And we might be losing a little bit of time. We'll just see what our lap times are sort of like after this first lap. Schwartzman's currently running a 2:07.3. Norris is running... where's Norris gone? He's up there. Norris is running a 2:05.3 at the moment. What? Is that just because we're stuck behind this Prema? Oh, and we've got Verline. Those tyres are about... I think the soft tyres are about 10%, so 22 laps. Obviously, this is going to be a risk, but we're going to have to do something to try and move him up a little bit here. Verline into the pits this time around. Just totally out of it. I'm just ignoring Verline for this race. He's got to really make it up in this next race if he's to sort of get anywhere. I think we're running a little bit slow because these tyres are overheating. We're just going to sit back. Well, we don't want to sit back on this fuel load too much, do we? Because we've got Norris in about 20 seconds. We should be about 3 seconds ahead of him once he does decide to come into the pits. Although his pit stop is he's going quicker even this lap. We're going all out. Is Norris pushing into the pits? I think we're going to lose 8th place, which is where we were before the first round of pit stop. And there, quickest 3rd sector for Norris on these almost shot soft tyres. And we can't even keep pace with a Prema at the moment on used mediums. Are we going to have to push to get past this Prema? Got Verline into the pits, all nice and complete there. Verline out in 24th. I think this is a good case for dropping Verline at the moment. He's really going to have to improve in China if he wants to keep his seat there, his 2nd seat behind Vettel. And there we do. We finally get past Schwartzman here. Can we now run off a little bit? We don't want to push these tyres too much. We do still want to make sure these get to the end of the race. Hopefully we can hold on. Just waiting to see when Norris comes into the pits. He's staying out another lap here on these softs. Obviously, I think the cliff might be 10% for the softs. It's 5% for the mediums. And the hards could run down to 0% before they just drop off. And the tyre deg is through the roof here for Stoffel Van Dorn, which Just going to try and conserve a little bit. And we've still got a 20 knot. It is down now to 19 seconds. So we are starting to close up. We're running a 2:04.7, whereas Norris is in a 2:05.1. So we are back up into a position where we are going to be staying ahead after this pit stop. Obviously, Norris is going to be going on to a nice fresh pair of super softs. So we're going to back up because this tyre is not cooling down at all. Is it heated up? No, it's still 27 degrees. And we're just going to watch Norris through the pits. I don't actually know what happens if we do this through the pits. If we watch Norris through the pits, we're coming around, we're 14th, we're coming around this final corner. Obviously it's a very slow corner, and then we've got to run, and there we go, nice and static through the pit stage. pit stop, good job. And that's us. Is that us going through? Yes, we are, just in front of Norris. And we've sort of closed up again. It sort of hangs behind if we use that, but we've managed to get close to both Mercedes here, which is sort of shocking. It looks like they're being held up by Mick Schumacher in the Prema at the moment. Obviously none of these hopefully are running to the end of, well, there's 13 laps left. They're not going to be able to get this medium through to the end of the race. We are desperately trying to get this soft tyre through to the end of the race. A super soft can do about 17 laps, so the AI should be totally safe as well. So we have got to stay ahead of Norris here. I can't remember the range of the super softs. I think it's 3-4 laps where they can do their quickest times. If we can stay ahead, our soft tyre should hold us in good stead if we can sort of keep pace with Norris whilst he's got his super soft on and then make a move towards the end of the race. A little bit risky, but we're sat in 12th at the moment. There's 4 cars ahead of us that have to pit yet, which means we're still in 8th place here. Ricciardo did manage to keep his 3rd place. He must have cleared the traffic and then managed to get that gap back over Alonso, both on the same tyres. Although Alonso's lost out to Ocon as well. Ocon's quickest tyre. So Renault, a bit of an improvement this race over the race last time, as we've moved past Hamilton. When did we get past Hamilton? Totally missed it. Totally going round other cars here. This is a Mercedes slowing down at the moment. They're running in backup mode. What is up with the Mercedes at the moment? Can we make it? Obviously we've used a lot of fuel to keep hold of this position at the moment. If we can get around and we can clear this Prema of Schumacher as Verstappen locks up behind us there. If we can clear this Prema, come on, we need to clear this Prema pretty quickly and cool the tyres back down. If we can do that, as Verstappen was having, the 2 Mercedes were having trouble clearing the Prema, I don't think we're going to be able to do it. You don't want to push these tyres too much. Yeah. And there, Norris goes through. I think we're going to lose all 3 positions here as Norris goes through on that super soft. The Mercedes really struggling in this second half of the race here. So we're under a lot of pressure from behind. Oh no, come on. Is it Verstappen? Yeah, it's still Verstappen behind at the moment. Just try to cool some tyres down again. Tyres just total. We're going to have to go into medium here. 10 laps left. We're going to have to go in low mode at some point as well. We've sort of used everything we can to hold on to these positions and get in front of the Mercedes. I don't think we're going to be able to hold that. Maybe not even hold off Albon towards the end of the race. But it will be a points finish here for Van Dorn. It's going to be a points finish for him. Hopefully it should be a 10th place. The Sainz now pits for his one and only pit stop of the race. He comes out into 19th place. And tyre deg through the roof. We're going to have to do it because this tyre does need to get through to the end of the race. There's no point pushing. We need to cool these tyres down anyway to go a little bit quicker. It says we can do 14 laps, which should be alright for tyre life at the end of the race, hopefully. We're going to be able to hold on. Verline is currently 22nd. Not doing too badly considering where he was. He's managed to move up a little bit ahead of Gasly. Russell, after scoring a point in the first race, is at the back at the moment. It's almost like he's in a 2019 Williams all over again. His teammate, where's Lance Stroll? Lance Stroll 21st, Aston Martin. Even with that Mercedes engine, really struggling still at the moment. And Verlaine complaining about being able to overtake Lance Stroll. So we're just trying to cool down at the moment. We're doing a good job, even though we're cooling down, of holding these Mercedes behind us. But with the weather being so hot, it's... Oh, as Verstappen goes for a move here, doesn't look like he's going to be able to make it. took a while to go into this chase cam there, didn't it? Looked like Verstappen was going to make... Oh, it's Hamilton behind us now. They've swapped over of the two Mercedes. And is that... That's Alexander Albon. It's going to be a right chase here for 7th place in the Grand Prix as everyone else has now pitted. So we're back to order here. Albon there. Is that Albon going past Lewis Hamilton? Lewis Hamilton's dropped back here. So behind us, it's a right fight, which is helping us out at the moment. If it was just one of these cars behind us, I think they'd have passed us at the moment, especially since we're just in backup mode at the moment. Just try to cool this tyre down. Try to get back in the optimal range. Lando Norris is pulling out ahead of us. But what we're hoping is at the end of the race, his super softs are going to start to go off at the end of the race. If he keeps pushing, although he's in backup mode at the moment, obviously he's got that luxury since he's ahead of us. We've opened up a 1 second gap now almost to Verstappen before he starts coming back, as he's starting to cool down as well. No, he's not. We're just going to go back up into neutral here. But we're going to have to do some quite drastic fuel management at the end of this race, and maybe we should start to think about doing it now. I think we recover about 0.10 of fuel per lap, or medium mode. I think we can do 0.2. Hopefully, yeah, I think we might have to go into low mode. We did so much of running in overtake mode to try and keep this position ahead of the Mercedes. Hopefully it's going to work out for us as we move on. I'm just going to see what we can. We're going to try and work it out here. As we come up to crossing this line, we're going to switch into low mode here. We're at 0.4, 1.4. So we're 1.5 seconds now in front of Verstappen. He's cooling off as well, so that should bode well. So whilst we try to run this, we try to see what we can recover here. But look at the front though, Leclerc, a 16-second gap over his teammate. Going to be the second win of the season for Charles Leclerc here. Where would he be? Look at that Ferrari. We've been miles ahead of the Mercedes team and Renault and Red Bull. After 2 races, after 2 rounds, Leclerc would have 2 wins to his name. Nico Hülkenberg would be second if things stayed the same. And we just want to look here, hopefully. 7 laps remaining after this. 0.15 we can recover per lap. It's going to be really close to the end of the race. We might even have to just go low mode to the end of the race here. We've used up so much fuel. Can we hang on up? Thankfully, we've got that little battle behind us going on. This battle, as we see, Albon getting past Lewis Hamilton here. We just sort of try and keep up with what these guys are doing. Verstappen, it seems like Verstappen's sort of being released a little bit now. He's managed to stay away from that pack a little bit. It's starting to close back up with us as we're running in low mode drastically. Fingers crossed. Everything in hopes that we can make the end of this race. We don't want to lose out to Joseph Newgarden and finish outside the points. That would be an absolute disaster. We've got a one lap of fuel to recover. Oh my god, this is going to turn out to be a disaster, isn't it? I don't think we're going to recover the fuel before the end of the race. Oh my god. Are we going to recover fuel before the end of the race? Obviously, that is a reason why we're so quick at the moment as well, because we possibly do have a lot less of fuel in than the rest of the cars, which is helping us out. But if we lose fuel, if we just run out of fuel before the end of the race on the last lap, we're going to lose these positions. We're possibly going to cost Van Dorn the first points of the season. Our first points of the season. Can we hold on here? Look at that behind Verstappen under pressure from Albon. No, Verstappen's going to have to pit again. Verstappen is over. The 2 Mercedes have just gone hard on these tyres, trying to stay ahead of the Red Bull. So hard on those tyres, trying to stay ahead of the Red Bull. Which bodes well for us if they have to pit again. Oh, both Mercedes going to finish outside the points here. Mercedes, unusually bad race management from the Mercedes, just pushing to keep Albon behind them in that really strong Red Bull. A real struggle for Mercedes, 7th. Oh, it's getting close, isn't it? Oh my word. We're about to go to 3 laps remaining. If we can recover, start recovering point 2, it's going to be really close to the end of the race. Did we just catch it in time? We are doing quite well, even though we're running low, man. Look at that. We're keeping pace with the Red Bull behind. Well, yeah, Albon's finally managed to get past the 2 Mercedes now, which means he's going to come really strong at us for the end of the race. Has he overshot his tyres as well? No, he's going to get through. I don't think the Mercedes are going to risk a pit stop, but these tyres are just going to go off a cliff totally for Verstappen and Hamilton, which means this Haas of Newgarden could get in front of them. Meanwhile, we've now got 3 laps remaining. 0.5, oh, it's going to be so close with the fuel towards the end of the race here. It's going to be absolutely to the wire. Meanwhile, Verline, he's to the wire as well with these tyres. He's got himself up into 19th. We're just going to have to cool down these tyres once again. Hopefully, we can just cool down. Albon is a threat behind us, the biggest threat to this 7th place finish. It would be amazing if we could finish 7th with Van Dorn. Imagine what Vettel could have achieved in this race if he hadn't got that fever. But Verline is recovering at the moment. We've still got him in auto drive here. He's just in 19th, he's just trundling on, 5 seconds either side of him. 19th place, not good at all. Hulkenberg has pitted in the Ferrari. Hulkenberg has pitted, Ricciardo's pitted, everyone on those super softs is pitting. That is the Red Bull of Alonso getting up into 2nd place. So everyone's over these tyres. We've now moved up into 5th place as Ricciardo comes out. Ocon comes out outside the points. Oh, the computer has gone really hard in this hot weather on those super softs and just totally shredded them straight away. Look at that. 13, what did Hulkenberg get? 15 laps. Who else came into the pits? It was Ocon, 15 laps. They should be able to do more than 15. Their estimate, since they're possibly a lot smoother, is 19 laps. They've really been pushing these cars to keep up. Maybe try to push the Ferraris to their limit. We're now in 5th. We're now in 5th and we're keeping a Red Bull behind us. 1 second. And we can switch back up into neutral here. We've got enough of this tyre left that we can push for the last... Oh, we're going on to the final lap. We're going on to the final lap. This is going to be so close with this fuel. Obviously, Ricciardo in that Renault is flying at the moment. That's good for us, isn't it? It's going to keep Albon behind us. There we go. Final lap. We're just, hopefully, going to make this. We can go all out on this tyre here. Obviously, Verline. He's got a little bit of fuel left. The computer's just managing him at the moment. We've got Ricciardo right behind us now. He's managed to get past Albon. Are we going to give up this 5th place to Ricciardo? The fuel is a concern. We've got about half a lap left. We might just get to about here. Heading down the grid places and cross the line. We've run on low fuel for a really long time now. We're doing 205.1. Obviously, Ricciardo is out of the pits for that 207. Hulkenberg's going really quick. He's managed to get back into 2nd. Leclerc has won this race. We're just going to watch Van Dorn across the line here. He's only got a few corners left. Looks like we're going to recover the fuel. Ricciardo is behind that pair of super softs. It looks like it's gone off already. And here we go. One more corner. The fuel is there. Look at that. I would claim that is expert management on the fuel. Or is it absolutely pure luck? We're going to come across the line. Just look at that. Coming across the line. Recovered it absolutely perfectly. To get across the line in 5th place with Van Dorn. Absolutely amazing drive from Stoffel. Reclaiming his place in Formula 1, it looks like. Obviously, he didn't have the best of times with McLaren. Moved to Formula E with Mercedes. Has come back here full force as a reserve driver. Disappointing. Well, that race was a complete disaster, Verline says, as the camera tries to switch us to Leclerc here doing his victory lap. It is Nico Hulkenberg in 2nd in Ferrari. Alonso gets on the podium in the Red Bull. Norris, 4th place in that McLaren. Really good for him. It's just the AI, the computer, shredding that super soft. Just absolutely shredded that super soft. Look at that. Leclerc did 19 laps and then went on to another super soft. Look, yeah, look, the AI try to cheat. Cheating. Look, using the same tyre compound. Look, yep, that's what you get for cheating. Look, as the race went on, they couldn't make the tyres last as long as they did in the first stint, in the second stint, which really cost them. It's cost Renault a lot of points. Renault a really bad race management there. Mercedes as well looked to have finished at 11th and 14th for Max and Lewis. Not good at all there. They do one stop and their tyres just totally went off. Look, Newgarden there. I think they're his first points. Well, yeah, they are out there. He didn't score points in the first race. Newgarden's first points in Formula 1. Sainz in the McLaren points again. Points for Norris. Points for us, 10 points. I didn't think we were going to get anywhere near the points, especially with not having Vettel in the car. And there we see Van Dorn sat in 9th place. Perfect. It looks like Ferrari are running away with things in the early going here. We're 6th overall, which is sort of where I was expecting us to be. Obviously, I would have been, yeah, Haas and Aston Martin. They are, well, Aston Martin do have a better car than us, so we're doing well to be staying ahead of them. Yeah, I'm really happy with that race. Sebastian, I'm looking at the wrong person. No morale increase. Why is that down? Why are you unhappy? Just had an amazing race. And we gave you the seat in the car. Why are you losing morale? Who knows? Maybe we should switch Van Dorn into this seat for the next race, so he starts building up the mechanic relationship as well. Something to do, but there we go. We're losing another cool £1.2 million again for this race. And there we go. We do have some pit crew that we can hire. Quite some decent pit crew as well. So we're going to confirm a couple of pit crew members. Get a few new pit crew members in here. Obviously, since we've got the former driver, they do get increases once we've hired them of 2 across the board. So we do have some decent pit crew here to hire. Costing us a tiny bit of money. Not too much money. Excuse me. So at the moment we can do 3.46 seconds, 11th place, front jack, no, rear jack you can go on since you're a 20, and then we should have a 16 for the front jack, gets us up to 3.11, still 11th place. Obviously he's decent at tyres. He's not going to make an increase to the time because your time's judged on your worst guy. So we will stay at 3.11, but we do move up to 9th for pit crew rating. And do we have anyone better than 11? We've got a couple. Well, we've got 112 there. 2.91. We move up to 7th. So that is quite an improvement through the pits. That's almost 0.6 of a second we've picked up there through the pits. And you're pretty good. Let's just move you up as well since you're a little bit better at repairing. Keeps us 7th. Overall, and we see Alonso's rating. He is a 5, yeah, rated as one of the best. And he's also got the racer trait as well there, and he's rock solid. Focus point 2. So yeah, we won't really go through the emails. We'll just finish off with the interview. Stoffel Van Dorn was beaten by Charles Leclerc. We just say we're not even going to try sign Leclerc. He's not going to move away from Ferrari anytime soon. So yeah, an absolutely outstanding race. We've got China upcoming in the next race. Obviously, it's going to be Verline and Van Dorn in the car again. Vettel still does need some time to recover. He will be back for Russia. But until then, I'll see you down the road in China for the Beijing Grand Prix. But until then, goodbye, everybody.